Hey, what's up, YouTube? Thanks for joining me here at Paid to Trade. So today I'm going to be going over the expected moves for the week and just kind of my thoughts on what to expect this week. If you'd like to see more videos like this, go ahead and hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Okay, so what I have here is the 4-hour chart. I'm looking at the NQ. I'm going to go ahead and go over the NQ, the ES, and I'm going to look over the Russell today. So it's been kind of crazy. We do have some things coming up this week. The FOMC minutes are going to be released, so watch out for that. I believe that's Wednesday afternoon. Retail sales data is coming out. I want to say that's Tuesday. Here we go. Thursday, initial jobless claims. So just Thursday. All right. So be aware of Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. All right. Some stuff that's going to move the markets. So with that being said, looks like there's going to be a decent move. With the NASDAQ, the market's anticipating us being up here at this level here, which would be about 15,387, or down here at 14,815. So I'd be watching these numbers. If we approach those numbers, expect some extra volatility. Let's see if we rein it back in or if we end up pushing way past those areas. So if you look at what we've been doing, if we go back a couple weeks, you can see in between here, we pushed down below and then we fought to get back in. And once we did, we hit this zone and we popped back out. And so we ended up closing the week out of the expected move. But we definitely got a lot of movement. It was on that final Friday. But if we look at last week, so we sold off, we kept selling off, and then we'd push up overnight and then we'd sell off again. And we were pushing up, and then, we're starting to create this little channel. So I'm kind of watching that, like to see what happens with that. But it was interesting that, and as far as this portion here, we did push up and we got back into this zone here. And if we look here, let's zoom out just a little bit more. Okay, so it's kind of a big area. We have this giant bull flag that we broke out of. Then here we are at the upside down. We're selling off a little bit. We came down and we didn't quite get below all this here. We started to, it was looking like that was going to be it, and I was expecting a big move down. But what we did was we kind of held that. We pushed back up. We got up to this zone here, which what I was originally anticipating was I was thinking we'd come down to that area, hold that, pop back up. And we were kind of struggling right in this area to do that, but that didn't happen. And once we broke below, we did come back up, and I was being hopeful again. I thought we were going to get above it and maybe we'd see testing the top of this trend line. But that didn't happen. We rejected the top of this little zone here and fell straight back down. And then we ended up coming down to the lower expected move, which was pretty interesting. And as far as how we closed, we did end up closing inside the expected move. All right. So watch out for that. So the market definitely reined it back in, but there's no guarantee. Usually, I want to say it does rein it back in, but sometimes we end up closing outside of it, and it can be a decent move outside of it. But usually you will encounter some extra volatility. So this week, as far as where it's putting us, these are the levels here, so watch out for those. And what exactly are we going to do? No one knows, right? No one knows, but the fact that we rejected this here, that makes me lean more towards the bearish side. If we do push up, I personally don't see us breaking above this zone here. If anything, this is where I plan to go short. So I might take a small position towards the bottom of this zone. And if that doesn't hold, then I might be looking more towards the top of this zone. Or let's say we're kind of hesitating, we're going sideways. But if we're starting to round out, then that is a good indication. I definitely want to go short towards the top of that zone and see if we can drop it down to here and maybe even get down to this lower expected move. So that's kind of my take on it. That's my play, but we'll see what happens. Every day is going to be different. Even though we're kind of downtrending, there's still reasons to take bullish plays as well as bearish plays. It kind of just depends on where we open up in the morning and if we're below or above a zone, what direction we're falling into. So I'll take my plays as they're handed to me. But that's it. So that's the NQ. And now what's interesting is looking over the ES. So if we look at the ES looks like it's holding up a little bit better. So the expected moves for the ES puts us towards, let's see, the top is going to be 45.82. The bottom is going to be 43.84. So I'd watch out for those numbers. Now, it to me, it looks a little bit more bullish. The fact that it's holding towards the top of this area here, whereas the NASDAQ, we saw it kind of rejected the top of the previous bull flag on the 4-hour charts. Here, we're kind of holding that area. So it looks bullish, but the NASDAQ might just pull us down. So I guess we'll kind of have to see what happens with that. But watch out for those areas. This is an interesting channel, looks really clean. So that's something I'm going to be paying attention to. I might even take some trades in the ES this week. I've been mainly taking NQ trades, but I'm not opposed to ES. It just moves really slow. So for me, sometimes it's rough because I like things that move fast. But that's that. So there's the ES. Now let's go ahead and give a quick look at the Russell. So looking over the Russell, you can see we're also at another downtrend, and I'm looking at these two different channels. So I'm curious about that. But here's the expected moves for the Russell for the week. I don't typically chart this out, but I think I need to start paying more attention to that. So as you can see, the upper end of the expected move is going to be 1968, and the lower end is going to be 1894. Now, out of the three that I mapped out for the expected moves for the week, the expected moves for the Russell are a little off. So this might be off by, let's say, 4 or 5 points. So don't hold me to these numbers. I grabbed these after market open today. As far as the NQ and ES, I had grabbed that well before market open. So those numbers should be pretty solid. All right. So that's just a heads up in case you're also trying to map these out as well. But as you can see, we're holding above this zone here. Let me zoom out again. So it's pretty interesting where we're at, and the fact that we just kind of dip down into this kind of a main area. If we hold that, that's looking pretty bullish. So this is looking kind of bullish to me. ES is looking kind of bullish. So I'm curious to see if we get a bounce and if we can continue to hold or even go sideways and then start to push up. But again, the NASDAQ, that's looking pretty bearish. So I'm curious to see if that really tanks and to see if these guys start to follow. So we'll see what happens here, though. See if we start to hold on top of the zone and reverse, or if we just start to sink into it. So very curious to see how that plays out. But if we do sink below, then might be time to go ahead and go short with this guy too. So we'll take it from there. But let me know what you guys think. Go ahead and drop some questions down in the comment section below. Love to hear your thoughts. I'd love to hear if you guys are bullish, bearish, if you have any plays that you're planning on taking, maybe certain levels that you're watching that are not even mapped out for me. Curious to hear about that stuff. So if you could, drop that down in the comments. And I just want to say thanks again to everyone that's been watching my videos, liking, subscribing. I really appreciate it. And I got some really exciting news coming up for you guys soon. I'm working on some stuff. We're going to make some changes here with pay to trade, and I got a fun offer in the works for you guys. So just give me a little bit more time, and hopefully I'll have that released for you later on this week. So just thanks again for your support. I really appreciate it. I'll see you guys in the next video.